Tonight we take you into the dark web, it's where thieves who have stolen your personal information like to hang out. It's where they sell what they've stolen from unsuspecting citizens like you. It's where they buy someone's identity and use it pretending they are someone they're not. Hello, I'm your host, John Jenkinson, and welcome to this month's edition of Rural America Live with AARP, and to our listeners joining us on Rural Radio on SiriusXM Channel 147. Tonight's show is full of information about identity theft and what you need to do to keep that information away from fraudsters. We want you to join our conversation. Our question of the month: have you or someone you know fallen victim to a scam or identity theft? We're giving away 5 Yeti coolers tonight. If you are the 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, or 10th on-air caller, then you'll be a winner. Our phone lines are open, and you don't need to be a member of AARP or over 50 to win. As a reminder, you can win only once each calendar year. Give us a call at 877-283-7570 and join the conversation. We want to let those who are winners tonight know that AARP will call you back. Might not be tonight, but they will in the next few days to confirm your mailing address. So no worries, if you win, you will get that Yeti cooler. Well, joining us tonight on the program, we have Vermont AARP Director Greg Marshallton, live in Burlington, and former dark web con artist and cybersecurity expert Brett Johnson. He joins us from Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome to you both. Before we jump into the dark web with Brett, Greg, the AARP Fraud Watch Network is keeping tabs on scams that target Americans, especially older Americans. What scams are on that list right now?
Well, John, thanks for having us, and thanks for having us back. This is really one of our favorite subjects for AARP Live on RFD-TV. Done a lot of shows on fraud, and one of the reasons why we like it so much is because it's a show that we can give really practical information out to your audience so that they can protect themselves. And there are some serious scams going on right now, like there always are. The top 5 scams at the moment, the Amazon Imposter scam is a big one. Some of that is due to the pandemic that we're all experiencing right now because many people are ordering packages online. But here's one where a voice on the phone or an email will say that your credit card has been changed or to be charged for a large amount of money. And then they'll give you the number for some purported Amazon support people and to immediately call and to prove that you didn't make the purchase. This one we're seeing a lot of. The Social Security imposter scam, we've talked about this a lot on this program. Don't ever, ever, under any circumstances, give out your Social Security number. There's a new Medicare card scam going on now. Somebody calls and says, I need your Medicare number. They claim that they're getting plastic cards with chips. None of that is true. And then government grants. These are usually offered through social media, through a Twitter or a Facebook or an Instagram account. And then finally, tech support. Another one we've talked a lot about on this program, but this one is very prevalent because so many people right now are at homes using their computers and using their laptops much more so than they have in the past.
Well, Greg, talk a little bit about the Fraud Watch Network. There is a helpline to address some of these issues and others, isn't there?
Yeah, AARP's Fraud Watch Network, which you can go to at Fraud Watch Network, AARP.org/Fraud Watch Network, and also at 877-283-3360, the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline, which is staffed by highly trained volunteers in 2 large call centers across the country. And you can call and ask them any questions. They'll send you information. They'll talk to you things on the phone. So if you think something has happened to you or a loved one or someone in your neighborhood or a friend of yours, call this number that's on your screen right now. And these highly trained individuals will help you understand what your next move should be.
Good advice. Our other guest tonight was not a good guy for a long time. He bought and sold people's personal information so he could afford a lifestyle that many of us only dream about. He helped make the dark web what it is today, a bad place where con artists hang out, buying and selling honest people's personal information.
I am the guy who built the first organized cybercrime community, and it laid the foundation that modern cybercrime channels still follow today. I was placed on the United States Most Wanted list, arrested. I served 7.5 years in federal prison. There's no way I can make amends for the damage I caused in the past. Today,
escaped from prison
But the reason I got the name of the original internet godfather is I built the first organized cybercrime community. It was called Shadow Crew. It was a precursor to today's darknet and darknet markets. It laid the foundation for the way modern cybercrime channels still operate today. Those 39 felonies that I was convicted of, they had to do with refining modern financial cybercrime as we know it, from identity theft, phishing, account takeovers, tax return, identity theft, any type of financial cybercrime you can imagine. I am that guy. And of course, I went to prison, deservedly so. I was fortunate enough that I had enough people that cared about me and gave me the opportunity to turn my life around. So today I work to protect people against the type of person that I used to be.
Wow. Well, congratulations on reversing that direction. What made you go straight?
What made me go straight? Well, the first thing was my sister. My sister had disowned me. I went to prison. She came back into my life after a couple of years, and she told me she loved me. That was the first turnaround there. Then when I was released from prison, I met my wife, now Michelle. She showed me what true love was actually about, what it meant instead of, because I had lived my life basically buying love. It was never enough for me to show love in a healthy way. I was always about giving expensive gifts or going overboard all the time. That was the second thing. And then finally, it was the FBI. I reached out, and the FBI, they took me under their wing, gave me an opportunity, gave me the chance to basically use the information that I have that I've acquired from a lifetime of crime to help protect businesses and consumers. And that's what I do today.
And that's why we have you here on the show tonight with AARP. So once again, we want to say thank you for making time for us. So why should people want to know how to avoid scams on the dark web?
What you have to understand, there are three parts of the internet. There's the surface web and the deep web, and then the dark web itself. So if you think of the surface web is everything that Google can find, all right? That's about 4% of the internet. The other 96% is the deep web, and then in the deep web, you've got the dark web, which no one really knows how big it is. So criminals tend to operate on the dark web, but they come back to the surface web to commit the crime. So they'll buy your information on the dark web, but they'll come back on the surface web to use your information, to use your stolen credit card information, or to try to take over your bank account or something like that. It's important to know how criminals operate and what it takes to protect yourself against someone like I used to be, so that you're not victimized. The thing is everyone's information is available today. Everyone's. We need to get past the idea that there's something that we can do to protect that. We need to realize that your information can be acquired by a criminal. Once we realize that, what do we need to do to make sure that if a criminal has it, that he or she can't use it to victimize you?
Wow, that is amazing. Well, we're going to take a short break, but the phone lines are open. Brett is here to answer your questions. Has someone you known been a victim of identity theft? Well, give us a call. The phone number is 877-283-7570. And join our conversation. More Rural America Live with AARP when we come back.
Professional scammers are very good at what they do and pride themselves on knowing exactly how and when to strike. Here are 5 psychological tricks scammers use to gain your trust. Scammers like to use a friendly voice on the phone or leave a nice message on social media. They make up advice from so-called experts and create fake organizations that sound impressive. They tap into your willingness to help others by developing schemes involving fake charities or pretend to be a grandchild away from home in need of cash. Scammers like to use your intelligence against you. They'll compliment you on how smart you are and your ability to spot a good opportunity for investment. They will pressure you to make a quick decision and act now because they know that when you are feeling fearful or stressed, you're more likely to be impulsive. If you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. For more tips, go to aarp.org/FraudWatchNetwork.
Welcome back to Rural America Live. It's all about fraud tonight with our friends from AARP. AARP State Director for Vermont, Greg Marshallton, is live in Burlington, and our special guest, former dark web con artist turned good guy, Brett Johnson, is live in Birmingham, Alabama. We want you to join the conversation. 5 lucky callers will win a Yeti cooler. If you are caller 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10, you'll be a winner. Give us a call. The phone number is easy. It's 877-283-7570. Dial it now and join the conversation. The phone lines are open right now. Brett, you have an example of what you call a phishing email. I have seen that a lot. What is that, and is there an effective way for a scammer to get information through that?
Well, a phishing email is a type of social engineering attack. So it's basically a criminal, like I used to be, using technology and psychology to trick you into giving up one of 4 things: information, access, data, or cash. So phishing is really the most popular form of attack that a criminal will use online. Phishing is that email that you send out that looks like it comes from Bank of America or Netflix or something like that, and it doesn't. So phishing accounts for, here's the statistic that should scare everyone. Phishing accounts for 92% of every single attack. 92% of every single attack begins with a phishing attack. Now, I've got on screen here, we're going to have a couple of emails pop up. The first email is the real email, gollum@anglerfish.com. The second email is the fake one. Take a second, look at it, see if you can tell the difference between the 2 emails. Da, 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 da. I'm guessing you probably can. If you're not, take a look at the I. One of the emails doesn't have a dot above the I. That I isn't really an I. Well, it's an English. It's not an English alphabet I. It's a Russian alphabet letter. But that is one of the techniques that criminals use to send out phishing emails.
That is fascinating. Is there a pickup, or did we see a pickup when this coronavirus hit in these phishing emails just because of what we just saw here about that level of fear being a psychological motivator?
Absolutely it is. So 2020 is basically the year for fraudsters. There's never been a year like 2020. You've got COVID, you've got the election, you've got everything going crazy this year. Criminals right now are able, what's interesting is that criminals typically, historically, criminals have had some sort of desperation going on. Because when you look at committing crime, a criminal has to gather data. He has to commit the crime, but then he has to put the cash in his pocket. And every one of those 3 areas has some form of desperation for a criminal. He's anxious to use the data. He's anxious to commit the crime. He's in a hurry to get the cash in his pocket. This year is not like that. This year, criminals are calm, cool, collected, and calculating. It's the people out there, the consumers, the people they're trying to victimize who are desperate. They're desperate for employment. They're desperate to get those stimulus checks. There's an element of desperation that we've not seen before, and criminals out there are predators, and they're looking for prey.
Wow. The phone number is toll-free, and it's open right now, 877-283-7570. Thomas has used that phone call. He's from Oklahoma, and he calls in right now. Thomas, what's your question or comment tonight?
Well, I respect you guys, and I love your intelligence and the things that you've done in the past and the present and the future. But what I really look at is the broad aspect of, I have a bank account. I have this account with my television service and other services, and I have them all on autopay. What guarantees do I have that my security is held, and what efforts are being made to ensure that over such a diverse aspect of economy that I do business with on a daily basis?
Brett, that's a great question. Where do we go from here?
Thomas, first of all, thank you for the question. That really is the question of the night, because what it boils down to trust. How do we trust the websites we go to? How are we sure that the websites that we're going to are secure, that are protecting our data? Ronald Reagan said it best. We need to trust but verify. So it's most companies, you take the banks that are out there. I don't care if the bank is Bank of America, Wells, Chase, Citigroup, or credit union. Most banks out there, they have your best interest at heart. They know that if they mess with your money, if they lose it, that they're on the line somewhere on that. So they really have your best interest at heart. But it's up to us to take our own security at hand. We have to be proactive in our own lives, in our own security. We can buy monitoring services. We can pay those subscriptions for that. But we still need to be aware of our own accounts. So it's important to us. You talked about having your accounts on auto pay. It's very easy for criminals sometimes to get access to your bank account, to trick the bank into thinking that he or she is you, and then to set up an auto pay where it's debited out to their bank account or to a fake company they've set up or something like that. So what's very important is that when you're online, when you have an online account, that you make sure that you monitor it all the time, that you make sure that you've got these alerts placed that if something changes on the account, if the criminal comes in and changes the phone number or the address or sets up a new account to be debited or something like that, that you're sent an alert saying, hey, someone's trying to mess with your account. And then at that point, you can log in or you can contact the bank and say, hey, I didn't do this. It boils down to trusting. I believe in trusting. I really do. But I also believe in verifying. That's the problem. That's typically what happens when someone is scammed. They trust, but they don't verify enough to be able to determine that it's a scam. So always try to verify. Okay?
Great point. Greg, anything to add to that?
Well, obviously, everything that Brett said is pieces that we recommend to all of our members and the public. But just a couple more things on top of that. Brett talks about being having to be vigilant and doing your own work here, and it's a sorry state of affairs that we have to inform people that they need to do that. Again, to check your bank accounts, to check your credit, and doing that sort of on a monthly or a bi-monthly basis, putting a credit freeze on your account so that if somebody gets some of your personal information, that they can't open up a mortgage or buy a car or start a credit card in your name. Identity theft is a very, very deep rabbit hole that is easy to fall into and very hard to get out of. So Brett's point about being vigilant and checking your online accounts and checking your credit is extremely important. And if you do those things, I think Brett would agree, you're gonna keep yourself much safer than if you avoid looking at that stuff on a regular basis.
877-283-7570 is the phone number. Let's go to the phones again here, and Karen's calling in from New York. First of all, Karen, congratulations. You are the winner of a Yeti cooler. What's your question here for Greg?
Well, it's really not a question. It's just something that happened the other day. We had a guy call us claiming to be from Dish Network, saying, oh, your equipment needs upgraded, and turn off your TV for 30 seconds and turn it back on. And then he started saying, well, it shows that you've made good payments and you're in good standing, and we're going to give you a $30 discount every month. How much do you pay for your dish? And I'm thinking, you should know that if you're from Dish, And so I just said how much, and that's all I said. And then they said for 2 years I would get that deal for $30 less. And then they said, okay, your equipment's been upgraded. And I'm thinking, this is just not sounding right. And before it was over with, he started to ask questions about, you can, he was going to ask for the credit card number to put a fee on. And we're going, wait a minute, what is this about a fee? We're not paying any fees. Well, by the end, he got upset and said, we're going to charge you $700 to cancel your dish, your service, if you don't pay this. So me and my husband just went, this is bad. So anyway, the rest of the story, we hung up, called Dish, and said, hey, there's somebody out there, And I gave them the phone number that's calling in, calling home saying that they're from Dish, and they are not. So my thing was just to put this out there that all of the TV subscribers to Dish, to DirecTV, any of them, that somebody's doing this.
Karen, first of all, thank you very much for the call and congratulations on being a winner of a Yeti cooler. Brett, that brings up a great point because in some of my emails, I see the phishing scams and things like that. It seems like a lot of these scammers really use brand names, make it sound like they really are from the company. Is that a common practice?
It's extremely common. And Karen, I want to thank you so much for doing the right thing. You realized that something was wrong. It sounded wrong to you, and you followed through. You didn't give up the credit card information. That is great. That is outstanding. You are amazing. Keep up that great work. Now, that being said, what you need to understand is that criminals, they love to use brand names because we identify with that. We like, I've got that service, okay? But the problem is that people tend to respond to authority. All right, so a scammer like I used to be, I call and I immediately want to put forth the idea that I am the power that be. I want to be the predator, and I want to make sure that the person that I'm talking to is the prey. So I start coming up with a problem or an offer. The offer being, $30, we're going to upgrade your service. I just need your credit card information. Well, you started to balk at that, so all of a sudden it turns into from an offer to a threat. Okay, so if I can't help you, I'll hurt you. All right, that's what we tend to respond to as humans is offers, authorities, things like that. We need to get to the point again. It's trust but verify. The number's coming through. It says it's Dish Network on the caller ID. Hang up, call Dish Network back. Not the number that's on the caller ID. Instead, look up the number on Google. Look up the number on your bill and call that number. Hey, are you guys trying to call me? And the answer is going to be no, because you've initially trusted, but you've attempted to verify, and the verification has failed at that point. So always follow up. Never respond to any call that's looking for information, access, data, or cash. Ever. Always hang up the phone, call them back.
Wow, that's great advice. Greg, anything to add to that?
Well, John really covered it, but a couple things that was impressive about this call. It was a text scam, so we talked about at the beginning. That's one of the most common scams we see across the board. We saw what John talked about, which was basically trying to put fear into the person with that. We're going to charge you $700. As John said, people react when they find themselves in the ether or sort of a real heightened sense of something going on. They'll react, and many times they won't react in the correct way. And then finally, using Dish as a brand, that's what we call source credibility. So anytime you can have a victim identify with a brand or a person or a celebrity, that also makes them feel more comfortable with what's being talked about. So this particular person had used a whole bunch of tactics that we try to talk to our members in the public about, things to be aware of. So this was a great call. Thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Absolutely. And speaking of call, it's not fraud. Give us a call right now and join this conversation. The toll-free number is 877-283-7570. Let's go to Greg Steve. Steve in South Dakota. Good to have you here with us tonight. What's your question or comment here for the gentleman? Steve, are you there? Well, we may have lost Steve. Let's go to Teresa in Iowa. Teresa, welcome. What's your comment or question tonight?
Hi. I have a couple of questions for you. One is, what do you believe, or how do you feel about LifeLock? We have an example that turn it down. We have the example that we had signed up for a credit card through Home Depot, and just to get the discount. And during Christmas time, after a few months had passed, we received a bill for quite a large sum, and our materials were ready for us somewhere in Illinois. And we said, well, no, we hadn't ordered any. But by the time we got it all stopped, the sheriff's office had come, and evidently the person had rented 3 cars in our name and never turned them back in. The only way we ever got out of this was after about a year's worth of dealing with LifeLock. They helped us get it figured out. So I was wondering what your thought was on LifeLock.
Brett?
Sure. So LifeLock. Here's the advice that I'm going to give everyone right now, okay? In case you lose connection or something like that, freeze your credit, freeze the credit of every single person in the house, monitor all accounts and place alerts on the accounts, use strong passwords. You do that, you're not going to be the low-hanging fruit. You're going to be up there in the tree. Criminals are not going to really look for you that much. That being said, monitoring accounts. When I say that, people tend to do that pretty diligently. They take their time. They're really on the ball, right? But we as humans, every human, tends to get a little lazy sometimes. Things tend to fall apart. They tend toward chaos. We start out by pulling our credit report maybe every 30 days. And then maybe after a few months, it turns into, well, I can do it next week. So it turns into every 37 days and 45 days and every 2 months and every 3 months, and we forget about it. It's that gap when we're not paying attention is where a criminal steps in and victimizes you. Services like LifeLock, those identity theft protection services, they don't get tired. They're always on the ball. They're always monitoring these accounts for you. If you are a victim of identity theft, they do step in and take care of it for you. And I want to be honest with you guys. When you become a victim, and a lot of the times it's not a question of when, it's not a question of if, but it's a question of when you become a victim. When you are victimized, it takes a lot of hours to fix the problem that a criminal causes, a lot of hours that you may not have time to do. So LifeLock or identity theft protection services do that for you. So I'm not against it. I think that you need to do your due diligence, pick a company that is well known, that has not had a lot of class action lawsuits against them, things like that. But I also think that you need to take a proactive response in your security. Don't just rely on an identity theft protection service. Always monitor your own accounts as well. Make sure that you're looking at your credit report, that you're able to log into your accounts, your bank account, your credit account, your credit cards, tax records, everything else. Make sure that you control all of those. So always take a proactive response. Always take your own security in hand. But absolutely, I'm all for relying on identity theft protection services as well.
Greg, anything to add to that?
No, John really covered the waterfront there. And again, just quickly to reiterate, credit freeze, people, get the credit freeze, get alerts on your account, and do your due diligence. But John really covered it all there.
Angela from Texas has called in tonight to join the conversation. We invite you to do the same. Angela, first of all, congratulations. You too are a winner of a Yeti cooler. What's your question or comment?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you all for putting this program on. My question is, let's say you're diligent, you're vigilant, you're lucky enough to not be conned, but it seems like con artists, fraudsters have a way of getting to you even if you're good with all of that. So is VPN as secure and wonderful as it's made out to be?
Brett?
Angela, that's a great question. The answer is a VPN is a tool. All right, it's a very good tool, but it's a tool. And you need to have several tools in your security toolbox. So you need to absolutely use a VPN. They're great, okay? A VPN can sometimes be compromised, but understand that. So you also have to have these other tools, strong passwords. I say use a password manager. Don't really care which one, just use one of them. Use a password manager. Freeze your credit. Don't put a credit alert on there. Freeze the credit. That way no one can pull your credit report without your permission. Monitor your accounts. So have all of these different tools in your toolboxes, in your security toolbox. That's the answer for that. But as far as a VPN goes, absolutely, I love them, but it's not the only thing that you need to be doing.
Wow, that is amazing. Greg, anything else?
No, I mean, John's absolutely right. It is a tool, and it's an important tool. That does really helpful in protecting someone from getting into to your computer, and particularly if you're traveling, folks aren't doing a whole lot of that these days. But VPNs are, again, like John said, a very important tool. What you shouldn't do is, go to some kind of open source Wi-Fi. If you're sitting in a lounge at an airport, or you're in a bus station, or you're in a mall or someplace, that's when you can really get yourself in trouble, and VPNs can really help.
Let's go to the Lone Star State, and Danny joins us this evening. Danny, good evening. Welcome to Live with AARP. What's your question or comment?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, just recently I got an email that appeared to be from Apple, and it was an invoice where supposedly I had ordered an app. And I knew I hadn't, but then I noticed it was like $37, $38 for the app. So that got my attention. And I looked, and there was an attachment, a PDF of the invoice. And it being a PDF, that didn't make me too nervous, so I clicked on it. And it was taking it a while to open. I don't really know what it was doing. And then I noticed in my email, I had another one or two very similar duplicate emails. And when I saw that, I deleted it and clicked it and didn't open anything. And so far, it seems like nothing has happened, but it alarmed me that while I kind of thought that opening PDFs was typically not too dangerous, that maybe they had some way of hiding that and showing it as a PDF, and it really wasn't. Is that a possibility?
Brett, I see you shaking your head already. You must be a little bit familiar with this.
I'm very familiar with it. And first, let me say, love Texas. I try to travel to Texas as much as I can, but hey, 2020, not much traveling going on. PDFs, extremely dangerous. I'm sorry, but they are. One of the techniques that you use to send out phishing emails or to infect machines with ransomware or malware is to try to get someone to click on a PDF or an external link to lead somewhere that downloads something. So a PDF is extremely dangerous. The problem is that you received what looked like an invoice. So there's two things that could have been happening there. Perhaps the scammer is trying to get you to pay the invoice to trick you in. Maybe he thinks that you're getting all these different invoices and you'll just pay that one, not even think about it. Maybe. More importantly, the scammer is trying to get you to click on that PDF. So he's trying a two-pronged attack there. What I say is, never click on an attachment. Never click on an external link. If you see an email coming through and it's saying it's from Bank of America or Apple, and it's got a link in the email, don't click on that. Close that email out. Instead, go to apple.com or contact Apple customer support and say, hey, is this going on? Did you send me an email? Did you do this? That's what you have to do. The problem is that there are so many different techniques that criminals can use to send out phishing emails, to infect your machine, to shut down your machine, to steal data, or to hold it for ransom, that I don't want to talk about all the different techniques because I'll miss one or two, and then someone will get infected with that. It's important to just not click on any internal link or an attachment that's on an email. Don't do it. Even if it's from someone you know, don't do it. Instead, pick up the phone, call them. Hey, did you send this email to me? If they say yes, okay, I'll click on it then.
Greg, it goes right back to what Brett has been talking about all night long. Verify everything. Trust and verify.
Well, absolutely. Only thing I'll add to what Brett said is don't click the link and don't click the attachment. He said it 3 times. I'll say it a 4th time. Just by doing that, you are going to save yourself a tremendous amount of potential headache and heartache. Don't click the links. Don't click the attachments.
Well, grab your phone and give us a call, 877-283-7570. We would love to visit with you. We'd like to bring you in on this conversation. Let's go to Illinois, and April joins us. April, congratulations. You are the winner of a Yeti cooler, and congratulations. You get to ask your question or comment here of the gentleman. What is it?
Okay, this has been about 6 years ago. I got a call from a gentleman saying that I won $1 million. And I'm a little farmhand. I thought, oh, my God, yes. So he asked me to send him $600. And he wanted me to send it to Jamaica. And I said, no, I can't send it to Jamaica. I got to send it someplace in Illinois. So then they told me to send it to Texas. So I did. And then I called her the next day, and the phone was disconnected. And then they called me back about 2 weeks later and said that I had to send some more money, because I needed to pay taxes to get it from Jamaica into the United States. Well, I called the Better Business Bureau, and they said, no, it's a scam. And so, but they tried calling, they've been trying to call, and I won't answer the phone. I got them blocked now. But the government can't help me because the money's coming from Jamaica. They can't get my money back.
Wow.
And so I just...
Go ahead. So Brett, is this pretty common too?
Unfortunately, it is common, and I want to apologize that happened to you. That's what's called an advance fee scam. It's the promise of giving you something, but you have to pay for processing or what have you first. It's extremely common, and I've fallen for that same scam many years ago as well. You will not get your money back. That's the sad truth of the matter. The reason they keep calling you is because you paid them, and they're going to keep calling you, so you just have to keep blocking the number. I apologize that happened, but again, it boils down to verify everything, and if something is too good to be true, if it seems too good to be true, it is. Again, I'm sorry that happened to you. I truly am.
Greg, anything to add?
Well, I'll just add a couple quick things. We saw a lot of scamming coming from Jamaica for many, many years. We've actually been able to work with the Jamaican government, and there's been some significant prosecutions, which, as Brett will also tell you, doesn't happen very often with this particular crime. So there's been some good news here over the last, 5-6 years. However, we haven't talked much about phones tonight. So it's also important to remind people these scams, although we're largely seeing them on mobile devices and laptops these days, they will still come to you through your telephone. They can still come right into your mailbox. They can still be hung on your door. These folks are relentless, and they'll use all sorts of ways to get to you in order for you to give up your hard-earned money. So again, being vigilant is really important. And one more thing that Brett said, he said a lot of smart things tonight, but again, a great adage. If it seems too good to be true, it most certainly is.
All right, let's go to California, where Josh is standing by with us. Good evening, Josh. Glad to have you here on the program. What's your comment or question tonight?
My question is, so many times, so many of us go to the internet and Google something, whether it's our pickup broke down, our ATV, or whatever it may be. And obviously, we're not logging into a site that's going to be an HTTPS for that and logging into our bank and giving our bank account information, but we're just randomly clicking on to links that might give us the information that we have. How safe are we randomly doing that, even if we have, say, antivirus software?
Well, Brett, that is a good question.
That is an excellent question. The problem, of course, is that you don't know who's running the site that you're logging into. So what I would say, if you're looking for videos or instructions or something like that, go to a site that's trusted. I trust YouTube because Google owns them. There are several repair sites out there that I trust as well. So if you're looking at visiting a site, the best thing you can do is look at reviews of that site. Go a little bit further than that. Look at who's posting the reviews. Is it Trustpilot? Is it something like that? That's trustworthy. So look at that, who's posting the reviews. You may want to look and see how old the domain is. So you can go to GoDaddy or pull a Whois and see how old the website is. If it's something that's only a month old or something like that, that's a problem. So go to places, visit websites that are trustworthy, that they have a history to them, that you know that you can trust. It's when you go to places that are new that, hey, I don't know, does anyone visit this site? That things become questionable, and you can be more victimized at that point.
Greg?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, again, it's all about being vigilant, doing your homework, and making sure that your own best advocate. The Better Business Bureau across the country will keep lists of companies that are in good standing. You can get information from your attorney's general office in your state, local law enforcement. These are the places that you can go to ask questions. And again, it's important to ask those questions and again, to be your own best advocate.
The toll-free number is 877-283-7570. Sherry picked up the phone. She dialed that number. She lives in Texas, and she's here with us tonight. Sherry, what's your comment or question?
All of this is so interesting and so helpful. And my question is about passwords and how to keep them secure and keep up with the various passwords that I use. I try to vary them so I'm not using the same one, but it's inevitable that I reuse them, or it's so confusing. Can you give us some suggestions on that?
Brett, I'm glad Sherry asked this question because I heard you mention something earlier about some kind of a password manager. I had not heard of that because I invariably will write down a password and then I'll lose the piece of paper or I'll forget. So are there tools out there to do that?
There are tools out there to do that. Let me scare everyone to death real quick. So the statistic is 80% of every single person on the planet uses the exact same password across multiple websites. So I can send out a phishing email that looks like it comes from Hulu, and your level of awareness may not be high enough that you're like, okay, Hulu, no one's going to try to phish that credential out, that login and password. But if you're using that same login and password for Bank of America or tax records, I've got access to everything you've got at that point. We as human beings, we're never trained on how to pick a secure password. We cannot, as humans, ever be random. So we tend to use variations of the same thing over and over. A password manager, and again, I don't care if it's a Dashlane or a 1Pass or what have you, as long as you're using a password manager, that machine is random. It picks secure passwords for you. It logs in for you. It changes passwords for you. You only have to remember one main password. So always use a password manager. That's the answer for these problems right now, okay?
That is amazing. And Greg, I got to admit, I'd never heard of this until now. That's something I got to look into.
I've been using a password manager for many years right now. I don't often have the best memory. The fact that I only have to remember one password, because part of it is that you might buy something from a particular store or order a particular magazine, and you've only done that once. When these password managers scan your hard drive, you might see 50 or 60 websites that you've gone to where you put in a password. How could you possibly remember all of those passwords? You can't. As Brett said, it's usually a common variation of one you use, or worse yet, you're using password as your password. So these password managing programs can be incredibly helpful. I use mine. I love it. I recommend them. And as Brett said, we don't have a suggestion about which company you should use, but we recommend them because they can make a real big difference.
877-283-7570. Gentlemen, our next stop is the Show Me State. Donna is here with us. Good evening, Donna. Welcome to AARP. What's your question or comment?
Some time ago, I had received an email from appeared to be from a credit card company. I don't know if they actually do that or not, but the email told me that my email address was on the dark web. And I want to know, do credit card companies do that? And what should I do about my email being on the dark web?
Brett, great question.
Sure, that was an excellent question, and thank you for asking it. The answer is that yes, credit card companies do send out offers, or they'll send out warnings trying to get you to sign on for, in that case, a dark web monitoring service. They're saying, okay, your information's on the dark web. I'm going to save everyone out there some money right now. Everyone's information is available. Everyone. Last year alone, we had 1,500 reported breaches. Of those 1,500 reported breaches, 2.6 billion records compromised just last year. Everyone's information is out there. So do not pay for dark web monitoring. Your information is there. The answer is what do you do since your information is there? Well, you freeze your credit. You monitor those accounts and place alerts, and you use a password manager. That's the answer right now.
Greg?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. That's absolutely a very clean and clear answer from Brett. I had it explained to me once by an expert I work with, Doug Shadell, who's done this program many times. It's they already have your information, whether it's your email address or a phone number or your social security number. The question is when are they going to use it? So they may not use it tomorrow or next week or next year or 3 years from now. So everything that Brett talks about as far as getting prepared for this makes all the difference in the world. But you do need to go on the assumption that your information is out there. And even if it hasn't been used against you at this point, there is a likelihood, or at least some likelihood, that it could happen in the future.
Man, this is a fascinating topic. We're up against a break, though. It's only a short one. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we've got another Yeti cooler to give away. So give us a call, 877-283-7570, and join the conversation. More Rural America Live with AARP is coming up.
Hi, I'm Joe Bonzel with the Oak Ridge Boys. Got a minute to talk about cyber safety? When we think about protecting ourselves from cybercrime, we often stop at password protection and antivirus software. But in today's day and age, being cyber safe extends beyond our computers and our phones. Televisions, video games, doorbells, refrigerators, and more can all be connected to the internet. These are all ways that scammers can gain access to our personal data. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and AARP is joining federal law enforcement and other partners to urge consumers to take cyber safety measures throughout their homes and businesses. Make sure all your devices are secure and your private data are protected. You can find some great tips on securing your devices at staysafeonline.org. Think about it this way: if you can connect it, protect it. Be a fraud fighter. If you can spot a scam, you can stop a scam. Visit the AARP Fraud Watch Network at aarp.org/FraudWatch Network, or call the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 1-877-908-3360 to report a scam or get help if you've fallen victim. Thank you.
Welcome back to Rural America Live with AARP. We have another Yeti cooler to give away, so we're going to go straight to the phones. Well, Mitchell has called in from Iowa, and he is a winner. And congratulations, Mitchell. Glad that you're here with us tonight. What's your question or comment?
Hi, I had a question on for Apple Pay. Is that a secured way of paying, or is it not?
Brett?
Sure. Apple Pay is extremely secure. Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, the established payment providers like that are extremely secure, yes.
Greg, anything to pass along?
No, absolutely. I agree with all that. These established payers like that do a fine job. And as Brett said earlier about banks and financial institutions in general, they have a real motivation to not mess with you and mess with your money. It is in their interest to prevent fraud, which is why using reputable places like that makes lots of sense.
Let's go to Pennsylvania, where Lynn is calling in. Good evening. Welcome to AARP and on Rural America Live. What's your comment or question?
Well, you just answered the first one, I guess. Okay. I didn't hear congratulations on my Yeti cooler.
Oh, okay. What's your comment or question?
Sad about that. So many questions. First of all, I'll say the whole situation makes me very angry. My time is valuable, and that I have to go in and double check and double authenticate passwords and verify everything. If criminals like Brett, I believe is his name, former, I'll say, reformed, whatever, it makes me very angry because, like most people, I work very hard for my money, and now I've got to spend a lot of time keeping track of things. I've had my medical records breached from supposedly very secure medical providers, hospitals, etc. Why would I trust a password manager? And is there, do you get what you pay for? Should I choose a free one? Do I pay for a more expensive software to do that? And how can they not breach like just my initial password to get into that?
Brett?
Sure. So first, let me say you're absolutely right to be angry. There's no doubt about that. You are completely justified to be angry. That being said, use that anger and turn it to being proactive in your security, because a criminal doesn't care if you're angry. Okay? A criminal will still victimize you whether you're angry or not. So use that anger to be constructive, be proactive in your security. The second thing, a password manager, the passwords are encrypted. Using computer technology now, it would take probably 300-400 years of several computers, supercomputers, working in unison to crack the encryption on that. It's not going to happen. So right now, as I said, right now, a password manager is the best choice you can use for password security, all right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's free or not. Those passwords are still encrypted. A criminal is not going to break that encryption. That's a fact. All right. So password manager, try the free version. If you find that you need the extra options that a paid version has, then you can use the paid version, but use a free version first and go from there. Okay.
Very good. Greg?
Nothing to add.
Okay, very good. Well, we're coming to the end of the program, and it's time to share some of our final thoughts. Let's start with you, Greg. Any final thoughts here?
I'll change the subject really quickly because, in case anybody hadn't noticed, it's election season, and AARP wants everyone to be able to vote safely this election season, particularly with the pandemic that's going on right now. So we've created election guides for every single state in the country, and these guides provide resources such as how to register to vote. Maybe you've moved in the last couple of years, you need to figure that out. How to request an absentee ballot in your state, which many states offer if you want to vote from the safety and security of your own home, and tips on how to vote safely in person if you decide to go to the polls. You can get all of this information at aarp.org/election guides. Again, aarp.org/election guides, and you can learn all about how to vote safely in your home state. And we encourage everybody out there to go vote.
All right, very good. Brett, we've got about a minute left here. What is you've had a lot of top tips here tonight, but what are some of your top tips to remember here this evening?
All right, so let's throw it out as fast as we can. Verify, 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 period. Freeze your credit, monitor accounts, use a password manager. Also, understand your place in the cybercrime spectrum, because you have a place. Who you are will determine, and what you do will determine how a criminal tries to victimize you. For example, if you've worked food service, I will victimize you differently than if you're a CEO or work payroll, or if you're retired. So understand how a criminal will try to victimize you, and then secure that area of your life.
Well, Brett, I got to tell you, on behalf of our audience and AARP, thank you so much for coming on here tonight and sharing your experiences. Congratulations on the changes that you've made in your life, because you have certainly changed a lot of things for us here tonight. That's going to do it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. And be sure and join us next month, November 19th, when we focus on scams targeting veterans. Thank you very much for joining us on Rural America Live tonight. And from all of us here at Rural America Live and AARP, good night from Rural America's most important network. Thank you very much.